Hello, everyone. It's Sunday once again. It's now 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in the UK. It's 9 p.m. in Manila. Welcome to another episode of Ask the Drummer. This week's guest, I'm really, really excited about this. I saw her for the first time in Edinburgh last March, and I was really, really so like, oh my God, she was so awesome. And when I asked her if she would do Ask the Drummer, I was really, really so like pleased when she said yes, because she's absolutely amazing. And I'm surprised that I didn't really know much about her and the band, although I do know another band that their singer is so famous for in the Philippines. So, but anyways, I'm gonna be talking to her soon, and she's coming to us live from Edinburgh. So, my dear friends, please welcome Hazel Morrison.
What an intro!
I don't know what I'm saying because I couldn't say the name the Bathers yet because I've got to
That's
so like
right, yeah, of course,
yeah
because you know Friends again, don't you?
friends again yeah because
Friends again,
friends
yeah,
friends again are really popular in the Philippines and
yeah. Uh-huh,
yeah they're massive and I
uh-huh.
don't know whether the Bathers actually reached us. I'm sure some of the sort like more knowledgeable music
Yeah, yeah,
music
no,
fans they
absolutely,
would
yeah, yeah.
they will
I mean,
say yes.
Friends again were much more sort of like poppy, though, weren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
Good, like,
yeah.
and it was the 80s.
That's right. But anyways, yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. But how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yes. Now that I finally got my laptop to behave, that was a bit of a moment before the cameras rolled. It's like, right, ditch the tablet, get the laptop out.
And what's the weather like there? You said that it's raining.
It's rainy, yes. It's a bit, but the garden does need it, I have to say.
Oh,
It's been quite dry, so my plants will be appreciating it. So it's all good.
yeah. It's we're having really good weather here in Manchester or Stockport because it's really nice and
Oh,
sunny.
lovely.
Yeah.
Mhm. How was the
Um,
gig last night? You were at a gig last night, weren't you?
I was at the gig on Friday. I was
Or
at
was it
work
Friday?
yesterday. Yeah, I was at work
Oh, you.
yesterday.
Oh, oh, we don't need to talk about work things. Just gigs.
Yeah. But Friday night, oh my God, two drummers. They're called House of All, which is they're former members of the Fall. So
Ah,
yeah,
right. And two
so
drummers in the
and
one
two
band.
drummers on stage. It was like heaven. It was like so amazing. But
Yeah.
anyway, so last time I saw you, it was actually the first time I saw you as well.
Yeah, the wee red
Yeah,
bar. I remember you because you were
yeah.
waiting out in the corridor, and I was like, "Come in."
Well, the reason for that was because Edinburgh, I must say that Edinburgh, you've got to be fit if you want to if you want to visit Edinburgh. All the stairs or the steps that you
I
have to
know.
sort like go up and down
Yeah.
it. And so
Lots of
when
lots
you
of hills, and yeah,
yeah,
I think is Edinburgh not built on like 7 different hills? I think
all right.
that is a
Well,
thing. So it is quite hilly, and the old town as well. So all the narrow streets and things.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's
when you
quite,
saw
quite
me,
pretty though.
yeah, when you saw me there, I was sort of like just sitting down because I'm
Exhausted.
walking. I was so like trying to regain my strength for the gig.
And of course, it was standing room only at the gig as well, so you weren't getting a seat.
I've got to say, it's like Edinburgh killed me really because I was just so tired by that, and it was cold as well. It was
It
really cold.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's not changed much, I have to say.
Oh,
It's
it's
still a bit chilly up here.
well, I'm really sorry. I've got to say thank you so much for inviting me to sort of like go there and
Oh, no,
watch you
thanks for having
yourself.
me.
No,
Thank you.
and
I'm
and
excited about this. I've never done anything like this before. This is really exciting for me. I
oh
get to choose the drums and things. No one ever asks normally.
I actually got like few minutes before I sent you the link to the virtual studio. I got like questions from someone, so I'm like, oh my god, I've got to write this down and make sure. So I will ask those questions later.
Oh,
But
magic.
yeah. Anyways, welcome to Ask the Drummer. Episode 81 is all about you, Hazel Morrison. So,
Mhm.
um, can you tell us where were you born and what was it like when you were growing up?
Oh, well, I was born in Edinburgh, to a house like just full of musical instruments. My dad was a dance band drummer in his youth, and my mum always believed in like the power of music education. It's like learning the piano from a young age, and just it helps with development in other areas. I think if you're playing music and things like that. So my mum was a primary school
Yeah.
teacher, and she thoroughly believed this. And me, my two sisters, we all got piano lessons and access to guitars, clarinets, and then eventually a drum kit, which arrived when I was about 13.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and so it was one of these. I think my dad well, my mum actually admitted that I would never have got a drum kit if it had been down to her. Because my dad went, no, let's get her a drum kit. You know, my mum wasn't keen on the idea, but it really, I was just when it arrived, I just wouldn't leave it. I was just on that thing all the time, and there was a cut-off point for neighbours and things like that when not past 8 o'clock. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
I was dragged kicking and screaming off the drum kit because I would have just kept playing it if I could have kept going. I would have just kept going, and the
yeah,
neighbours
yeah.
would have been really annoyed. But yeah, so it's a very musical household where I grew up, and
Well, is it just you, or do you have siblings? Or...
two older sisters. Yeah,
Oh,
who are
yeah.
my oldest sister's a dancer and a dance educator, and my middle sister's a musician and a music teacher.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
it's
some...
quite arty.
Yeah.
The neighbours
But,
used to call it. We used to get called the Von Traps.
oh, right. But did you try playing the other instruments, or is it just really drawn into
Yeah,
one instrument?
yeah. I still play piano and I still sing, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but and I tried the trumpet. That was a disaster. And I'm still trying to play the guitar. I've been trying to play the guitar for about 35 years, and I still can't do it. But I won't be giving up. I won't. I'll keep
No.
going.
Well, before we continue, David Simpson just said that Hazel was my
Ah,
teacher at high school
of
samba band.
course.
So
That's
yeah.
right. Now, David Simpson was a mean drummer, but he was a really good guitarist as well. I
Oh
seem to
well.
remember.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you for joining us, David.
yeah,
But
good.
I heard you sing. And it's such a your voice is really stunning. But you must be so like classically trained, or did...
Not in vocals. I'm classically trained in timpani and percussion. That's where I did my studying. So it was all orchestral. Um, I kind of like went that way when I was at school because I was educated at the City of Edinburgh Music School,
Yeah,
and it was quite a sort of classical training there. The City of Edinburgh Music School now does all music, like jazz, rock, whatever you want to do. They cater for everyone. But when I was there, it was quite old fashioned and its sort of approach to music, and it was all classical training. So I did timpani and percussion for my degree at the Conservatoire in Glasgow.
wow.
But all the way through that, I must admit, there was this pull back towards pop music and rock music. I just couldn't sort of exercise. I couldn't get rid of it. So I was doing
Yeah.
all these like massive orchestral gigs and really enjoying them, but that pull, it never left. And I
Oh,
realized, and ultimately
well,
now that I'm this age, I just do what I want, and it's always rock and pop, bit of
yeah,
folk,
yeah.
you know.
Well, thank heavens for that. I'm sure. I'm sure Chris Thompson. I'm sure Chris Thompson is not like saying that as well. Thank heavens that you're drawn to pop music.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
with the bathers, I think maybe the classical training and that maybe that sensitivity to that type of
Yeah,
music is maybe helpful because
yeah.
of the style that Chris writes in. I think it does work.
Yeah, because I googled it. It's actually because Friends again. We were talking about earlier. We consider it as sort of like new wave. It's a
Yeah,
new wave band
yeah,
in the
yeah.
Philippines. That's what we call them,
Mm.
anyways. But then when I googled the Bathers, it actually says chamber pop
Chamber pop, yeah.
or baroque, baroque
Baroque,
pop.
baroque, not baroque.
Yeah,
That's hard, isn't it? Yeah, well, it is because I think Chris uses like beautiful string arrangements and lots of like classical sounding piano.
yeah,
Sometimes all I'm doing is like cymbal rolls and things behind that, and yeah, it just works. I mean,
yeah,
I love the writing. When did I join? Was I about 22 or something like that?
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
now 50. How did that happen? So I've been playing for Chris for an awfully long time, and
Oh,
have no
yeah.
intention of not.
Not, but yeah, yeah. Was there sort like I know that you're always sort of like drawn to the drums, the drum kit and something, but was there any sort of like particular moment in pop, not the sort like the classical training, but in
Mm.
pop where you saw maybe, I know that in those days Top of the Pops was sort of like massive in the UK or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Did
huge.
you ever, yeah, have you seen sort of like someone like a drummer, a rock drummer or a pop drummer that made you think, oh, this is what I really wanted to do? Or so like
Yeah,
while you're doing your classical training.
there was loads of them. But I think the first one that really inspired me was Roger Taylor from Queen.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I just thought he was amazing, and I have to admit that I did fancy him a bit, which and I thought if I was playing the drums as well, maybe we could meet at some point. So it was kind of like spurred on by a schoolgirl crush. But yeah, I thought he was fantastic, and I did sort of like try and copy what he was doing quite a lot of the time.
Oh,
And there's
yeah.
other drummers as well. A wee bit later on, Ainsley Dunbar, you know him. He recorded an album for Lou Reed, the Lou Reed
Oh, right, okay,
Berlin.
yeah,
He played on
yeah.
Lou Reed's Berlin, and I tried to copy that one to death as well because the drumming on that is just astounding. Um, and do you know anyone who's ever worked with the Divine Comedy? Anyone who works
Oh,
with Neil Hannon, any of
yeah,
his
yeah.
drummers, they always play like stupendously well. So yeah.
Are you a big fan of the Divine Comedy?
Oh my God, yes, another obsession. Neil Hannon's the only person that I have met and actually swooned, like swooned.
Yeah.
My knees gave way and I had to sit down. I
He
just
was
think
really,
that.
he was really nice because I met him when they did sort of like an album launch a few years ago in
Uh-huh,
Manchester. He's
oh
actually
right.
very funny. He's very funny,
Yes.
and it was sort of like he chose the photograph of me because it was at HMV, and then there's like an official photograph from HMV, and he chose that photograph and posted it on Instagram. And I was like,
Brilliant.
oh yeah, I was like, oh my god, like it was really,
That's me.
that's me. But anyway, so you were doing all these sort of like classical training, but um, what was your first band? Did you sort of like start and join the band as like a
Well,
proper rock band before the Bathers?
no, I was in actually a Ceilidh band, like a Scottish folk sort of dance band. Like
Oh,
my dad started out actually, and it was through the fiddle player in that band who introduced me to Ian White, who was playing violin for the Bathers. So that was the connection that got me into the
oh,
Bathers, was that folk band, and it was great. We did loads of Kayleys. We played people's weddings and stuff. It was
oh,
great fun. Yeah.
yeah.
So no, there
It's
was no other sort of rock band, not that I can think of anyway.
no,
I
not
did
when,
backing
not
vocals
even,
in reggae bands.
well, not when you were in sort of like high school or maybe when
Um,
in no,
no, no, no, no. It was
yeah,
definitely it was definitely a a classical education.
Yeah, yeah. You
Which I
mentioned
think
it's not.
if I had my time again, I think I would probably have gone down the rock and pop road a bit earlier than what I did. Because I mean, as much as the classical training was really useful, and
Yeah,
and I still do enjoy it to a certain extent, it's definitely not what I wanted to do. And I realized that pretty early on in that degree course, that's probably not what I want to do. But I finished
but
it.
yeah, you stay. It was helpful and
Yeah.
useful what you do.
I think I think any music education is going to be helpful. Like if you learn the violin for 2 years and then give up and move on to drum kit, everything you've learned there is still going. It's transferable skills. You're still going to be able to use all of that to move on to
Yeah,
your next instrument. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, when I asked you to do if you could do as a drummer, you mentioned something about you don't consider yourself a drummer but a percussionist. I was
There is a bit of that. I think in general, my hands work better than my feet.
well, I had this thought like I remember like asking this earlier on when I was doing like the early episodes of Ask the Drummer because I've read somewhere that all percussionists are drummers, but not all drummers
Or,
are
or
percussionists. Would you
hmm.
say that's true? Do you think it's all
I'm
like
not
the
sure about that. I know a lot of percussionists who went through the same course as I did,
yeah.
who were not happy to sit at a drum kit. Like they didn't want to play kit.
Yeah, I think what it is so like the instruments for percussionists you have like more varied
Yeah, well,
you don't just use the drum kit, but you
yeah. There's
play other.
tune percussion like marimba.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
when you're playing like notes and melody and harmony and stuff like that. So that's quite a different skill to playing the drum kits.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the drum kit, you do have you've got your feet to contend with. It's not just about the hands. And sometimes I must admit, I kind of like have to work on my feet. Sometimes my right foot, particular, I'm sort of like come on, has a life of its own. Sometimes a mind of its own. Sorry.
No, I've got to say, I mean, the way you play the drums, you're so elegant. It's like it's powerful, but very, very elegant as well. I was just when I saw you in Edinburgh, I was just staring. So,
I think it's yeah. I'm not. I kind of like to think that I kind of play for the song rather than go look at me, look at my big drum fill. Whatever the song is doing, whatever it needs. I like to think that I sort of aim towards that rather than just a look at
yeah.
me.
Well, and we're gonna talk about the Bathers since you didn't have any other like bands before
No.
the Bathers.
There's been other bands since. I played in a folk rock band called Cantara, did a bit of touring with them, and they were great. My pal
Yeah,
Lou Marshall's a piper, and she plays up the front. She's just hilarious.
yeah,
And that was good fun. But yeah, there's probably
yeah.
others, but they're not springing to mind. I think it's my age.
Well, we're gonna
Odds aren't tuning.
well, we're gonna talk about the Bathers because for me, really, like I mentioned before, I'm really new. I'm pretty new to the Bathers, which is I'm really sorry about that. But
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
nothing to be
making up.
sorry about.
Like I'm making up for the loss because I am now like listening to a lot of the Bathers music.
Oh,
But
that's right.
before you actually joined them, were you already a fan of Chris Thompson and
No,
Francie Guy? No.
no, no. I have to say, I'm really sorry. This is going to sound very rude, but I hadn't heard of them. I had heard of Love and Money,
Oh,
the
James
band
Brown.
that
Yeah,
George
yeah,
began, because I remember Take a Ride on the Sugar Train. Remember that one?
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember
That's
being in art school when I was a kid. I really enjoyed that one. So I'd heard of Love and Money, but I hadn't heard of Friends Again.
oh God.
No,
So
I had it. Oh, my
yeah,
sins. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? But I've heard of them now.
and you played a couple of their songs as well last time when they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah, they always seem to go down really well. Because I
Oh,
think
that
it's
was
that
just
sort of uppy sort of joyousness.
yeah. It's really strange because I know that Chris Thompson was in a sort of like similar podcast before, which is based in Manila, and then I think he I, I don't remember sort of like I haven't actually seen that episode, but some friends of mine were sort of like saying that there's hardly a mention of the bathers, because I think being Filipinos, yeah, all we want to know is about state of art, and there's
Yes, and finger at the core and fancy dress. Well, I get
that
that.
song.
They're really good songs. They're great songs, and they're really
Yeah,
catchy. They're fun to play. They get people dancing. It's brilliant, and I'm really
yeah,
happy that
yeah,
this still plays these songs because it's important. It's important to
yeah.
keep them alive. Keep them out
Well,
there.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. Well, I googled the bathers, and according to Wikipedia, it was formed in 1985.
That was before my time.
Just
Yeah,
before, yeah.
yeah. I
And
started a bit later.
yeah, so they had
Um,
a different drummer then. I think
yeah, Gordon Wilson, I think, did the first. Actually, maybe there was someone
was that
before
in
him.
James? It's James Locke. It says that their
Oh,
original
James Locke,
drummer is
of
Yeah,
course.
James
Now
Locke.
he engineered Kelvin Grove Baby album. He he was the producer, I think. Yeah, he
Oh,
was.
right.
Hmm.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, it says that in you joined them sort of like 10 years later in
Yeah,
1995,
yeah,
and
mhm.
you mentioned earlier that it was through Ian White. I'm so like,
Yeah.
Is that Ian White from the Wendy's? It's not. It's not the
Oh,
Wendy's.
I don't know what it is. He's a
Oh my.
lovely, lovely people here. He's based in Brighton now, I think, somewhere down
Oh, okay.
south.
No, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not that one.
I
Because when you
don't think
mentioned Ian White, I was sort of like thinking, oh my god, I said the Wendy's guy, but he's not him.
I don't
So
think so. I think we'd heard about that. I think
yeah,
but yeah, different Ian White.
it's a different one. So in 1995, you joined them. So how did you get to meet? And well, through Ian White. So
Through Ian, and
yeah,
then
what was
I
it
I
like
went
meeting
to
Chris Thompson for the first time?
well, I was quite into Tom Waits. And when I first heard Chris's voice on Lagoon Blues, that was the album that he was promoting at the time. I thought, oh God, that's a little bit like Tom Waits. I really like this. I'm definitely going to do this because this sounds amazing. I really want to play on this. And then listening to it again, I thought that's actually not really anything like Tom Waits, but I still love it. So yeah, so it was Lagoon Blues. I went to meet Chris in his flat in St Vincent Crescent, and we just had a natter, and he let me hear the music and what he was wanting to do with it, and I was like, right, that's it. This sounds great. I'm in. And a few weeks later, we were playing Glasgow Green. It's like massive, massive, big outdoor show. I think we were supporting Love and Money because Love and Money
Oh,
had got back together again for a thing, and then we
oh,
played the Mitchell Theatre not long after that. It was all good stuff. I think I've got that the right
yeah.
way around. Maybe it's the other way around.
So,
I don't know. It's a long time ago. I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Never mind.
well, when you met Chris Thompson, did you not do sort of like a Neil Hannon kind of thing? It was like, oh my god.
Well, no, because I hadn't heard him yet. If I'd been a Friends Again fan, I probably would have
Yeah,
done a spoon. But no, because I didn't know who he was, or I just knew that there was this band going. They had an
yeah,
album out. He wanted to go out there live, do some live shows and promote it. And I just really loved the songs. I loved the music. I thought this is just something really special lyrically and
yeah,
musically.
yeah,
And really play the piano as well, like not just sort of like chords and things like that. There was proper stuff going on in the piano. And I thought, no, I have to do this. This is right up my street. Um,
yeah. Yeah, when I saw him for the first time in Glasgow, he was at the Gnac, the Orchids gig with
mhm.
Paul Simpson and Ricky Mamio at the time. I was like, oh my god. Chris Thompson. So
His
when you,
autograph.
yeah, well, when you describe your feeling when you saw Neil, I
Neil
was like
Hannon,
that
yeah.
with him.
That-
I was like, oh.
No, I totally get that. Do you know, I had met Neil Hannon before after a gig that he'd done at the Oran Mor in Glasgow. And I'd had a couple of pints at that one. I wasn't driving. And someone who I was with said, look, he's sitting over there. Why don't you go and speak to him? So, of course, I sort of sidled up to the table and sat in front of him once he'd said, ah, yeah, come. And I sort of went, and I was just like, I'm just going to like get my coat and get out of here. Do you know? Everything I'd ever wanted to say to Neil Hannon just sort of came out in this sort of jumbled sort of. So I said this, and then of course the next time I met him, I swooned. So he must be. I mean, you must just think that there's that weird red-headed woman again. The next time I see him, if I do get the chance to meet him again, I think I'm just going to stay well away and just look from afar, because the two meetings I've had have been an absolute disaster. So.
Well, that's actually part of the. I was going to ask you if you get starstruck as well.
Yes.
Me with Chris Thompson, I couldn't even say anything. I was like, I was just going
Oh, see, that's so funny, because when I see Chris, I like that's my bandmate, you know.
But anyway, so going back to the Bathers music, so you were in their a fourth album, Sun Powder. Is that right?
Yes. Now, at the time, I'd started rehearsing that album. Like, that was supposed to be my first sort of like, we have a new drummer now, here she is type thing. But I just wasn't quite ready. Do you know? Everything, it was just too sort of over thoughtful. I wasn't really like sort of giving out any massively brilliant ideas at the time. And I think coming from all the classical training in that, when you're classically trained, you get notes put in front of you, you play them, you reproduce what's in front of you. You're given your notes. So going into that sort of creative process with a band for me was like hugely intimidating. And I remember at the time being disappointed that I couldn't quite get it together to do it. But I did get 2 songs on the album that were quite, I mean, I look back at them now and I think I'm not really doing very much there. And I think that was partially like just pure like fear, like not wanting to get it wrong and going, oh, I'm playing on an album. So, but then I listened back to it and I think, do you know, it actually really, really works. I'm glad I was really scared, and I'm glad that I didn't overplay, and I'm glad that it's really simple, because now I'd have done much more and it wouldn't have been nearly as effective. So in a way, it worked out really well. But when it came to Kelvin Grove Baby, the next album, I found my feet, and I was just like, oh, come on, Hazel, just get over it. Come on. Just go in there, see what you've got. They can always delete it and get someone else. You know, what's the worst that can happen? Just give them everything you've got. Go for it. And so I did, and it worked. But I was ready for it by that time. I just wasn't ready at Sun Powder. And I'm glad that Chris had the sort of gumption to go, look, we'll get Gordon in, but you know, you come in and have a go, sort of type thing. So it was good. It worked out really, really well. So at the time I was like, I want to play. But now looking back, it was absolutely the best thing that could have happened, because I just had a little bit more time to find my feet in a very new world, you know.
Well, I saw that on Discogs, that the Sun Powder album. The credits there also says that James Locke was also doing some of the drumming. So was he still drumming, and you're drumming as well? Or?
I mean, James plays on Kelvin Grove Baby as well. Because he was recording it, and I think, you know, there was a track that needed done. They wanted to do a bit more on it, and so he just hops in and does it. Because I was living in Glasgow at the time, it was recorded in Edinburgh, so it just he was there, he was in the room, he did it. You know, there's nothing precious about it though. You don't sort of like think, oh,
I'm the
I should
drummer.
have done that one. You know, I appreciate the input from all different musicians, drummers included. You know, and you know, there has been occasions where I've suggested to Chris, why don't you get this guy, and he's really, really good. Why don't you get him in to do a bit of recording with you? You know, I don't own that seat in that band. You know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
yeah, I'd probably but if I lost the seat altogether, I'd be a bit miserable. But I think it's good to work with other people. It really is.
Well,
Chris, if you're
Wikipedia
listening to
also,
this,
yeah.
don't get any ideas.
Well, like also according to Wikipedia, the Beatles didn't actually split up, but you saw like stopped in 2001, which so like you had like a long rest.
Long the longest rest in banding history. Yes. Chris had met his beautiful wife, Vanessa, and they'd had a daughter, the gorgeous Evie. And I think it was maybe time just to sort of concentrate on that part of his life. I mean, and now, I mean, I've had two little boys myself,
Yeah,
and it's not particularly conducive parenting to like recording and touring, and
and touring. Yeah, yeah.
it just, you know,
You got to
it's
do hard.
hard.
What? Yeah, it's got to
Yeah,
be one or the other. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there are people who manage to combine these two things, and hats off to them. You know, I just don't think I could have been away from my little ones for any length of time. I can do like the odd like couple of nights here and there, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't. Yeah. Now they're a bit older, I'd consider it now. Now that they're a bit older, but when they're sort of at that baby and toddler stage, they need their parents. You know,
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
hard.
Yeah.
So I kind
Yeah.
of get why Chris had this hiatus.
Well,
It was necessary at the time.
yeah, well, during this time, while the Beatles were so like resting, you actually released a solo album yourself
You know about this.
in 2000,
You know everything.
in 2006. But do you have like your own Bandcamp? Because on Discogs, there's no one selling that album. So it's,
No, there is not. I had they're all under my stair. They're in my understair cupboard. It's occasionally someone asks for one, and I'll get them a copy. Yeah, I there is actually album number 2 being made,
oh,
but it's a little bit tricky because the songs are all quite old. So I'm singing sort of old stories, like a part of my life that is well gone, you know. So it seems quite sort of funny, sort of trying to finish off this album because it really just is not me anymore. I'm not. I seem like a very very different person. It's all very sort of like sad and now I'm sort of like, stop being so miserable. Give up, woman. Yeah, Flux. Yeah, Flux was the name of the
yeah,
album, and I released it. I took it to Celtic Connections, and I won a Danny Kyle Award for Best Newcomer,
oh,
and
wow.
I got a few gigs out of it and stuff like that. But I think to really promote yourself as a solo artist takes like a huge amount of energy, a lot of confidence, and a total like blinkered view on what you're doing. I kind of did it for a bit of fun as well. So it was
Yeah,
never
yeah,
too serious. And it was more sort of cabaret than it was pop. It was supposed to be entertaining, you know, and musical, but it was never supposed to be a sort of like platform for myself to go out and make it. You know, it was just supposed to be a bit of, you know, a bit of fun. While there was no bathers on the go, I thought, well, I'm going to write some stuff, see how it
yeah.
goes.
And
And
did you have a band with you, or did you just sort of like do a gig yourself, or just have a backing band as well?
Well, I did. For the Glasgow show, I had my sister came in and did some like accordion, keyboards and stuff, and Kerry, the fiddler,
Yeah.
he came in and did some violin, and I also had for one of the shows, I had Jim McDermott on drums. That was brilliant. It was so loud. And he's such a powerful drummer and so neat. He's totally bang on. But Jim plays for Delamitri, Justin Curry.
Oh right, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Justin
yeah, he
Curry.
plays for
I
him.
thought the name's familiar,
Yeah,
but
yeah, and the Kevin McDermott Orchestra as well. That's Kevin McDermott's Jim's brother. So I was lucky enough to get him on kit
yeah, yeah,
for one night. That was good. But generally, I do the solo gig stuff myself because I like to. It's nice to be able to pay musicians and not ask for favors. So generally, the level of gigs that I'm doing, or have done, it's been sort of like quite sort of like low level, not been much budget in it. So it's a case of, well, do you want to play? Come along. If you don't,
yeah.
I still do it on my own, me and a piano. It's fine, you know.
So you're not so like doing it on, you're not playing the drums and then singing or so like no.
No, but I have done that. I'd love to do that actually. Is do some of my songs from the drum kit
From the
as a
drum kit.
vocalist. I'd
Yeah,
love to play my music from the drum kit, but it's just I've never really had the chance to do that as yet. Again, it's something
yeah.
that takes an awful lot of promotion and work and rehearsal and all that sort of stuff. And I've got a full-time job and a family. It's quite a lot to take on.
Well, maybe those CDs. So is that the CD or vinyl? That so,
It's CD.
well,
Yes,
maybe you
it's
just
not
have
out
them
on
on.
vinyl. I think I would have to sell a few CDs first before I thought about it. I've only got one under the stair cupboard. I don't think I could fit any more in it.
You should get them so like the merch table when you do the Bathers gig because they've got Friends Again vinyl in there as well. So maybe
I
it's an
could
idea to have. Yeah, to
I could
have
put
your
some
CD
out.
on. I will
I
get one
I'll send
next
you
week.
one.
I will get one
Yes,
next week because I'm seeing you next
I'll
week.
bring some to the Glasgow show. The
Yeah.
thing is, when people come up and say, is this your solo album? Well, I have to say to them, it is nothing like the Bathers. Don't panic if you're thinking a Bathers offshoot. It is not like the Bathers. Because you do worry about that, because it's sort of like, oh, because you play in a band, they'll think that I do stuff like that, and I just don't.
A similar thing, yeah, yeah.
There is only one person in the world that can write like Chris Thompson, and that is Chris Thompson.
And then, well, you mentioned Tom Waits.
Yes,
I've only I know I don't really know much about about his music, but I remember so there's a compilation album that I was listening to, and one of them is a song of Tom Waits. It was all like saying he's not even singing; it's all like just talking. It was just.
Is it
I think it's like
what's building in there?
it was all like
That was a really terrible Tom Waits impression. Sorry, everyone.
no, because every time we get Tom Waits album at King B Records, they're expensive. Those things, his music is really expensive. I'm so like thinking, oh, better so like listen to this one, but I can't remember. I can't even remember what the song is. But it wasn't singing it that as well. It was just sort of like just speaking. So like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine Tom Waits isn't everyone's cup of tea. I just think again he writes a sublime song, there's an album called Blue Valentine of his, and it's just a song, just brilliant song after brilliant song. It's like it's unbelievable, quite sad in places, but lovely.
His voice is kind of sort of like sad. It's a bit so like sad.
He's definitely lived. He's definitely got a lived-in voice. He's been alive.
Yeah. Well, Aiden is my husband. He's my tech support. And he said great sound and picture, which is good.
Oh,
I
brilliant.
like it when
You
he
see, my,
says
my,
that.
my husband, Adam, my wonderful husband, Adam, is my tech support, but he's removed the kids from the house so that we can chat.
Oh,
So I've lost my tech support for today. So God help us if anything goes wrong at this stage.
no, I think we're doing okay. We're touch wood or something.
Good, good,
But
good.
there's not much. I'm really glad that you're doing this because there's not much information about you on the internet. Because I googled and so like so like maybe there was interviews or from the past or whatever, and I mean I could find a few Hazel Morrisons, but it's not.
Oh, you?
I don't think it's you because
There are
there's one.
more.
There's like a research officer,
Oh,
social worker, and there's
oh,
I even found one on Instagram, but again, it's
uh-huh.
not you.
It's not me.
No.
Oh, maybe they're all me, Anna. Maybe they're all me. Maybe I'm a woman of many guises. I don't know. I think when it
No,
comes to, you know what, you're one of these people. You love drummers clearly,
but-
so you are happy to interview the drummer of every band that you'll ever
oh
see.
yeah,
But I think for most people, they want to interview the lead singer or the person who writes the music. I think that's generally
yeah,
the case, isn't it? So I
yeah.
think
Well,
to have someone like you in the world who wants to interview all the drummers is brilliant.
well, I just think it's very important because I do watch the singers, of course, and the guitarists as well, bass players.
Mhm.
But I think when you go to a gig, the drummers are the most exciting. So like
I
band member
agree.
to watch
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
yeah, and sometimes I mean I like getting there early so I can actually position myself where I can see the drummer clearly,
Mhm. Mhm.
and because sometimes it's like of course the singer is there and so like blocking your view.
Often if you can you just move along a wee bit? Sorry, you know,
Yeah,
just move the mic. What
but
do you think
yeah,
it's all about you?
no, 'cause I remember during lockdown, there's quite a lot of podcasts so like happened that time, and
Yeah.
most of them are just sort of like asking lead singers or guitarists so like
Yeah.
interview, and I remember so like saying, how come no one's asking the drummers to do it? So
Yeah.
so a friend of mine said, well, why don't you do it yourself? So,
Actually, it's brilliant. And you learn that there's lots. I mean, there's lots of like drummers that you put that I'd never heard of, and it's like, oh, and then that leads you to Googling, and then
yeah,
you hear some new music that you've never
that's
heard
right.
before.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
It's a great way of like hearing like, new music. It's
Well,
brilliant.
oh, thank you, thank you. But going back to the Bathers now, so you reformed in 2016 after that
Mhm.
long rest, and
Yeah.
you're now playing as a four piece with various sort of like musicians joining you, like Douglas
Yeah.
McIntyre or
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
Graham
we've got
Skinner.
yes. Oh, he's brilliant. We've got Nico Bruce on bass just now. Now, Nico played bass on Lagoon Blues way back in the 80s or the early
Oh,
90s. Was it?
yeah, yeah,
So he's kind of like back in the band. So he was
yeah, yeah.
in a long, long time ago, and now he's back in. He's great. He's got a very, very long and varied career. Um, he's played for the Proclaimers quite a lot. So that's his sort of a musical past. But yes, it's basically a four piece. Obviously, Chris, Callum McNair, myself, and at the moment Nico.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
uh, Nico's great. He's really really good at rehearsing actually. Right, he's very organised in rehearsal, and I feel like I've upped my game a bit in rehearsals because he's so on it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be on it as well. It's work.
Yeah, and you've got a new album coming out, haven't you?
Yes,
This,
at last. Drum roll. Yeah, there's. I'm hearing through uh, through Chris actually that it looks like
Yeah.
it's be an October release. So we're
Brilliant.
on the home straight for that one, but people have been waiting for a
Yeah.
long time, and usually people go, "Yeah, right. I believe it when we see it."
I'm sure. I'm sure there is because Last Night from Glasgow is releasing it, right? And
Yes,
yeah,
yeah, they
they're
are.
very good,
What a
very
brilliant
good
bunch they
label.
are, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
was very lucky to
um,
have them on board, on side.
you know,
Yeah, they
I
just
love.
love music, don't they? They just love
Yeah,
music, you
yeah.
know?
I love
It's
that. I
fantastic.
love that label. I like going to their shop as well. So,
Yeah, yeah. I'm
but
hoping to get there on the day the gig actually next week.
next Sunday,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, I'm
next
gonna go for
Sunday.
a scoot around the West End, my old haunts.
Oh, um, g- when I went to London a few weeks ago to see Lindy Morrison, another
Oh
amazing sort of like drummer. Yeah, she's
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
I met a long-time fan of the Bathers.
Oh,
Uh, his name is Joseph Trainer.
oh, Joe Trainer. Oh, he's just lovely. Oh, we
And
love Joe. He's such a good person. Really, really
yeah,
lovely
well,
guy.
we were talking about sort of like Ask the Drummers, and because I was sort of like I just met him there, and then he sort of like suggested that he said to me, a very good person to go to interview on Ask the Drummer, and then I said, yeah, who do you want me to sort of like interview? I said Hazel Morrison, and I said, oh
No.
yeah, I'm gonna have Hazel Morrison on the show in a few weeks time.
Oh, oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
so yeah, I told him about it. He said I think he's been sort of like following the Bathers for quite a long
For
time,
a
or maybe
while,
from the
yeah.
start. Yeah,
Yeah, huge Blue Nile fan as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lovely, lovely big sort of community of Blue Nile fans out there,
yeah,
and there's a bit of crossover with these fans to the
yeah.
bathers as well. It is. It's like a big family. It's
Well,
lovely.
he said to me that the gigs, the reason why you're not really doing like a big tour, apparently is because you had your babies, you had two
Yes.
children, so you got to
Ah,
work. I think
and I've got
Chris
to
Thompson,
work. I
yeah,
know.
like work the way
Work.
around
I
your.
actually, I'm a music instructor. I have a really, really lovely job, and that I get to like teach and play music with teenagers in secondary schools. And I go around different secondary schools, and we make music, and it's a fantastic job. I'm really, really, really lucky.
Oh,
But it's not a job that I can just go right. I'm away on tour for a couple of weeks, and I'll be back in a minute.
yeah,
And you can't do that because it's timetabled lessons with students, and I work for the City of Edinburgh Council, so it's not the sort of job that you can just up and leave. So the
yeah, yeah, and
tours and breaks have to be like weekends or on the school holidays,
yeah. So you
which
can't go on so like a 2 week or an 8 days or like tour and then it's all like
no, no, unfortunately not. But I mean,
yeah.
I get it. I mean, I'm on the payroll. I have to be there. I think you can apply for things like unpaid leave, but it would have to be like I'd have to get covered in and stuff like that. But it's maybe doable if Chris wants to do a short tour in the future,
Yeah,
like
because at the
October.
moment, yeah, when the album comes out though,
Well,
because at
we'll
the
have to
moment,
gig it. Well, you will have to get out there and gig it. It has to be done. You can't just release an album and go
and then
right.
just
Bye.
yeah.
We're away for another 15 years.
Yeah, well, hopefully there will be a tour in October. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Some promotion around the country would be
yeah.
nice. It'd be nice
I
to
hope
do
it's
that.
not gonna clash with the Soup Dragons though, because the Soup Dragons are doing a tour in October and
Oh
November.
yes. Oh, I remember the soup. I think I saw them at the Queen's Hall when I was a kid. It's
Yeah,
all the 90s are all a blur. They were that good.
Well, I was all like thinking this year. There's so many gig clashes this year. It's just unbelievable. But I think it's, yeah, I think it's because of COVID and we had this lockdown that I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe bands and artists they just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be out there and doing
Yes.
gigs. But
Mm-hmm.
then the thing about that is that for fans, you've got to sort of like sometimes decide you can't split
Yes.
yourself and just like, okay, I'll
Which
go
which
to the
one am I going to go to? I know it's tough, but
yeah
I mean, it was lovely to get back on stage, though. It was quite an emotional moment walking onto a stage for the first time after
yeah
the 2 years where we just weren't allowed to play anything. It was really quite something else. I
yeah
wasn't I wasn't prepared for it. Then suddenly I'm on stage. And it's like, oh, we're back. It's amazing.
Actually, I've just posted on Facebook because Facebook Memories reminded me that on this day 2 years ago, that was my first gig after 14 months of
Oh wow,
lockdown of
really,
not doing
really.
anything. Yeah.
Oh,
So that was just really, really good for me because I do love going to gigs and
you do. I see on
yeah,
Facebook, you're not a gig like practically every day it seems. You've got a new picture with another superstar.
yeah, with another drummer. Yeah, a photo with the drummer. But
Yeah, you know what? I go
well,
I go into Facebook now just to see what drummer is Anna standing next to. Which drummer has she got now? You collect them, don't you? You collect drummers.
well, well, actually,
Can I ask,
the
can
other
I
day,
ask you a question? Have you ever played the drums?
I I tried learning it. I went for
Uh-huh.
sort of like a crash course when I was in my early 20s
Uh-huh.
because I thought I've always loved drummers and I thought it would be cool to be able to sort of
To be able
like
to do it.
to do
Yeah.
it myself. But because I love drummers so much, I just enjoy watching them.
Ah,
So
right.
yeah, so my brother is a drummer himself. He
Uh-huh.
was in the band in the early 90s as well. So he took me to this sort of like guy who's a drumming instructor.
Mm-hmm.
And he left me there. And then I went for like three occasions, like three sessions.
Uh-huh.
But I couldn't really learn anything because I was just sort of like every time he'll show me what to do, I'll
You were
just
like,
say, no,
oh,
continue.
oh,
No, just
why don't
carry
you just
on.
keep playing? Just keep playing. But I mean, that is brilliant as well. I mean, it's well, like,
So,
musicians who play, we need enthusiasts like yourself to turn up. That's how it works. If everyone was playing on stage, then there would be no audience.
well, well, after that, my brother said to me, "I'm not taking you back there because you're just wasting your money." It was like you're paying him to just to watch him, so like, play that. So anyway, so that's that. And I said, "Well, I can't do the drums. I'll just sort of like enjoy watching them." So
Watching
that's what
them.
I'm
Yeah,
doing.
fair enough. I just wanted to know because I thought, I wonder
Yeah.
if you're a concert drummer yourself.
I always sort of like ask this because I think it's got to be in you, though. Do you think?
Mm,
I know you're a music teacher.
yeah.
You're
Mhm.
so I presume you also teach how to people how to play drums.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yes. I,
But
I
do
do.
you think it's got to be in you? It's so like something that's you're gifted or you're naturally so like you can play.
That's a very good question. It was always naturally in me. I know that much because when I sat down at a drum kit, nobody had to tell me how to do it. It was kind of just there. I'd watched drummers and I sat
Yeah,
down. I can just do this pretty much. This is fine. And I knew I kind of just got what the drummer's job was, where fills fit in without having to count. But saying that, you can. Well, I've come across pupils before who maybe don't have that. They don't have
yeah,
that initial sort of like spark at the drum kit, but through methodical teaching, hard work, and listening and practice, you
yeah.
can find it. And you can go from like not having it to having it. It is something that I think can be taught. Maybe to have that like extra special bit to actually go out there and be a musician, maybe you do have to have like a tiny little spark of something. to make it
Yeah.
that extra bit special. But there's an awful lot that can be taught, and like even rhythm, like pulse and beats, that can all be trained. There's very few people in the world who have absolutely no sense of rhythm at all. I have seen that
Yeah.
though on a dance floor.
But do you teach this one
Oh,
to?
no, no, I don't
I
know.
can't even do it myself.
Patting your head, rubbing your tummy. I can't believe I'm doing this. No, don't.
You don't
Wait,
do
but
that though.
no, no. It usually like we'll be sitting at a drum kit, so the idea of like getting the hi hat going, the bass drum, the snare drum, that's enough of a coordination exercise in itself without
Yeah.
having to do that.
Well,
I'm gonna try that on Tuesday. Actually, I might do that.
I've got
You can just see, like,
actually.
a bunch of like sort of 3 17-year-old boys in my group going, "You want me to do what?" Yes, come on.
Oh God. I was like, no, miss, I'm not doing that.
No, I'm not doing that. Miss, you look ridiculous. I'm not doing that.
Um, I hope you're not so like rushing because I've got this long list of questions
Oh, that's
from
fine. That's fine. No, no.
like from Derek Patience. Remember you saw like a
Oh, yes, of course.
yeah, well, a few minutes before we actually went on live, he just sort of like sent me this message, and I
Mhm.
thought, oh, I better just include this one. So it's there's quite a few questions in there, and
All
the
right.
first one is, what are your three favorite debater songs to play drums on?
Oh, got to be Angel and Ruskin. That's definitely a big fave. Um, there's a song called "If Love Could Last Forever." Now, it's one of these songs that could have had lots and lots and lots and lots of fills all the way through it. It could have been a much bigger part, but I'm particularly proud of that recording because rather than overplay, I've done this thing where the fill is just on beat 4, doof, on the floor tom. So I'm like ding 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 boom ding, ding, ding. And it's so satisfying to play. Just that.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, boom. And it just works. And I love playing that one. I love playing that one. The other one that I really like is Dial, because it's more of a sort of like 16 beat, and it's got one fill that every time I hear it, I think, did I really make that up, or did I steal that from somewhere? Because it's really lovely fill. It's a sort of offbeat boom jat, and it's just really nice. It's not spectacular, but it just fits brilliantly well. So I would probably say these three for drumming
are your favorite?
satisfaction.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. Question number two is, what are your three favorite debater songs that you like singing on?
Now,
Calvin Grove, baby.
do you know what? Every time we start Kelvin Grove Baby, there is this sort of like love hate thing going on because I absolutely love these lines. They are beautiful, but they are very high. All this sort of stuff going on. Now, I recorded these when I was like in my early 20s. Now, as you get older, your voice does change, and sometimes I think, "Oh my!" I'm playing away, just waiting for that bit to come up. And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, is it going to come out? Is it going to come out? Is it going to happen?" And then it does. It does pretty much every time. I do get there every time,
Yeah.
but I'm always kind of nervous that at some point, one of these days, I'm going to open my mouth and that high B is just not going to be there. And the thing is, everyone knows it's coming. And they're like going, "Oh, this is the singy bit coming." Ooh. She sounds like Tom Waits. So yeah, there is that. I do love singing Kiln Grove Baby, but it is
Yeah.
quite terrifying at the same time. Um, a
'Cause,
recent
I
one,
mean,
Mandarins.
okay,
That's a new one on me. We've only played that one a few times now, but I really like singing the chorus in that. It's really nice. I'm just singing along with Chris as well. I'm
yeah,
just actually singing along with him. It's like a wee sort of sing-alongy chorus thing. So that's really good fun to do. That one.
yeah. And
Yeah.
another one. So it's Calvin Grow Baby, the Mandarins, and what's
I'd probably have to say Angel and Ruskin just because of the improv bit at the end, where I can really pretty much do what I like,
yeah.
and go a bit wild. In fact, the last time I kind of like I tapped into a bit of Pink Floyd. And it was so funny because you know the last great gig in the sky.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
There was a
yeah.
couple of just a wee hints of that going on, and someone in the audience, a young girl, came up to me at the end and had clocked it, and she was like, "That was the last great gig in the sky," and I was sort of like, "That is amazing," because I didn't actually sing anything exactly like that part, but it definitely had sort of like a little bit
Yeah.
of it going on. So and she caught that. So it
Oh,
was
that's
quite
great. Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, I like improvising.
Well, the first time I heard that Kelvin Grove Baby in Edinburgh, I
Hmm.
was just really sort of like I was mesmerized. I mean, I'm glad I actually caught it. I caught a video of that.
Oh, did
Kelvin Grove.
you?
Yeah,
Oh,
I did because your voice is just. I was like, how do you do that? I was all like playing the drums, but then you're
uh,
going like this high note.
I know, but long notes are okay for when you're playing. These are not. It's when I'm doing words and things like that. Sometimes the words are a bit more difficult when I'm sort of distracted by my drumming. You know, there's some serious multitasking going on.
Well, right. Well, question number three from Derek is your favorite debaters tracks. Yeah, three favorite debaters track.
Three favorites. I'm going to go for Hellespont in a Storm because it's utterly beautiful. The strings on it, the lyrics, everything about that song is just gorgeous. I think it's one of the best things that Chris has ever written. It's just beautiful. Um, Let me think. Oh, there's so many. I think a lot of the things because Kelvin Grove Baby was the first album that I really got my teeth into, and I really felt that this was really part of me.
Yeah,
Um, there's, I think I would say mainly the Kelvin Grove Baby tracks, although there is one on. Oh, totally forgot about this one. On Pandemonia, there's a song called "Sundown and Longing," which I love, and we don't seem to ever play it
played
live.
live.
We
Oh,
never seem to play it live, and that is
yeah.
just we. I'd love to do that one. I would love to do that one live.
Have you
That's
suggested it? Have you suggested it
you
to
know
us?
what? I don't think I have. That was a bit silly, having a favourite song and
Maybe.
not suggesting we play it live. Derek Patience, thank you for pointing out this terrible thing. I shall
And
just,
what's
as soon as we're
yeah.
finished, I'm on the phone, Chris.
Yeah. So what's the other one? What's the third favorite track?
Oh,
Please.
let me think. There's just too many, isn't there? There's too many to choose from.
Yeah.
I think there's some of the I feel like I should choose something of Lagoon Blues because that was my first sort of like intro. There's a song called Via Doro on Lagoon Blues, which has such a groove on it and a really great sort of like a vocal thing from Chris. It's just very catchy. It's the groove in that one that I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
like. I'd like to
yeah.
play that one live as well. Am I
Well,
not?
I've
You're
got-
right. I've not suggested that one either.
yeah. Well, if you're going to ring Chris Thompson to suggest that what Derek said that he also mentioned that can you persuade Chris Thompson to do Grace Fruit
Yes,
to do
yes,
that
that is a
live
keeper.
sometime? So
Yes,
yeah,
quite a cheeky wee drum part on it actually. It's some sort of like wee offbeat things going on. That Gordon Wilson came up with that are really, really good. I would have to practice that one, Derek. Patience. I'm going to have to get on a drum kit and actually practice.
and his last question is, what is your most favorite The Bathers album?
Kelvin Grove. Kelvin
Kelvin
Grove
Grove,
Baby. Yes,
and
definitely.
not this coming out though. So like not the new one.
The new
Well,
one, do
hopefully
you
it
know,
will be. So like
I've recorded all my parts for the new one, but I have not heard it yet. So I will hear
oh
it. I will hear it, and it's
yeah,
once it's done, I won't get to hear it now. It'll come out,
yeah.
and that's when I will hear it.
Because you see a lot of so like bands and musicians who say that the latest album is their most favorite one.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true. I mean, I've got my own personal reasons for loving Kelvin Grove Baby. There was a few things. We recorded it back in Edinburgh, so I sort of like came home to record it, which
yeah,
is a bit daft for an album that's such a love letter to Glasgow. You know, it's actually recorded in Edinburgh.
oh,
I felt like I was coming home, and I was like young and in a studio doing what I wanted to do and being a part of something. It was the first time I'd
yeah,
sung on an album as well, and I can clearly remember Chris and James Locke, who was producing. Um, when I was recording the backing vocals for Kelvin Grove Baby, they just kept going, "Can you go a bit higher?" And I was like, "Ah, ah, can you go any higher? Ah, ah, can you go any higher?" And I just kept going higher and higher and higher until they got me up at that level. There was all these really lovely moments, and of course, the other people who played in it. There was James Grant came in to do some superb like guitar and backing vocals,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Justin Curry as well is singing backing vocals. I'm in a recording studio sitting next to Justin Curry. Oh my god! So there was all that going on, and it was just great times, really good times. So it's not just about the album; it's about the memories and the people and where you are at the time. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
Well,
when we did Pandemonia, when we made Pandemonia, I wasn't very well. I'd had like quite serious like abdominal surgery, and of
oh,
course that album felt really different to me because I'd been quite unwell, and we had to sort of finish it off. And Chris brought this little mini studio to Edinburgh while I was recuperating, and then we finished it off in my flat. So yeah, so that had a different vibe to it altogether, just
yeah,
because of
yeah,
where I was in my life at that point.
yeah. Well, when you're doing that so like vocalization thing, I remember it reminded me of my music
Oh
teacher
wait, what did
when I
you?
was when I was in primary school because they were so like, and she was nice, but she was just really strict. And then when
Oh,
you go like and then it would go, and
la
then
la la la
it
la
needs to
la
be
la
higher,
la la
and it was
la
like
la
I
la la
couldn't
la
do
la.
it anymore.
Yeah, can I just tell you? See, music education has moved on a bit. It's much more fun than the la 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 la.
And I remember her being so strict that sometimes, because I mean, this was like in the 80s, so they can still sort of like hit you with the ruler or something. So I mean, it's like when you
No,
couldn't do it, it's like, oh, like, no, I
what's that all about?
can't.
How are you ever going to get the best out of a pupil with a rular in your hand?
Yeah, it was
Come
all like.
on, you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, any ounce of musicality or love of music you would have in your heart would just be like disappeared. Sometimes you'd be gone for fear of the ruler.
I think that's the reason why I didn't. So like so like after primary school, I said I don't want to do this thing.
No,
I'm not
no
gonna do this.
wonder. I mean, really, that's just not selling it, is it?
No.
I mean, if you go out of tune or make a mistake, you'll get shouted at. I mean,
Yeah.
at the conservatoire, I remember like there was a lot of times when I did feel the fear. There was a fear. You had to get it right, and it's like it had to be accurate. If people are paying to
Yeah.
hear an orchestra, they don't want to hear the clash cymbals coming in the wrong beat or the bass drum coming in at the wrong time. It has to be correct. And there is that feeling of, I've got to get this right. So, and I think what's nice about like working in bands is that the live moment can change. It doesn't have to be the same every time.
Yeah.
In fact, it should be a wee bit organic and it should move about a bit. Oh, we played that one quite fast tonight, didn't we? I quite liked that. So I try and approach all music that I do now without fear, because fear can be quite a constricting. You'll never get the best out of yourself if you're afraid. You'll
Yeah.
never know what you're capable of unless you just give it your all and go, oh, well, that one didn't work. Oh, well, that one, I missed that, whatever. You can't beat yourself up about a live moment. That's why I love recording so much, because you can just delete it and do it again.
That's brilliant. That's very good. But I know that when you play the drums, you're actually sort of like very good with the audience, because you look at them, and you so like there's an interaction between you and the
Yes.
audience. Because I
Yes.
always like that with because I mean, sometimes you go and see a band and they're really nice, you enjoy the music and everything. But when they don't say anything, they just carry on playing and not
Yeah.
acting. So, like, I
Oh
just thought,
no, yeah. Well,
yeah,
well, the thing without the audience, that we wouldn't be in the room. We wouldn't be doing it without the audience. So the audience are like, the most important band member that you'll ever have. Otherwise, nothing happens.
well, so like it's after 3 now. I've only got the 4, so like basic
That's
questions
it.
that I wanted to ask you the last one. I didn't see you twirl. Do you twirl when you play the drums? Because
No.
no, you know.
I can do a really bad twirl that usually ends badly. I usually end up dropping it. But I have had students in the past who have always said, Miss, I'm going to teach you how to do this, because you have to know how, you can't be a drummer in a band and not be able to do it. So yeah, the thing, I'm going to be honest here, I can't. I can't twirl. And I have tried, I have to say, I have tried. But there are pupils who have promised me that they're going to teach me. So I will hold them to that. And at some point, see, the Bathers isn't really a sort of twirly band, though, is it?
No.
I mean, it's sort of like, ah, you know, I mean, did it not look a bit silly? You know what? I think I should give it a go, though. If it gives even one audience member a giggle, then it's worth doing, most definitely.
Sorry.
The image of the Bathers drummer twirling, I'm loving it.
It reminded me.
I tell you what, I will twirl my drumsticks at a Bathers gig if Callum McNear plays the electric guitar with his teeth.
It just sort of like reminded me of Chris Thompson's post the other day, or was it last week before you went to the gig in is it Cumbernauld,
Coming
that
all,
place?
yes.
Yeah. He said that you're all gonna be so like, because it's Eurovision week. You're
What?
all gonna sorry. That you're all gonna be so like all with glitters and so like
We're wearing
bejeweled.
our glitter and our spandex and our
Yeah.
yeah that
I
would be
can
a
just
sight
sort of
to
like
behold.
I can just visualize all you in that and then twirl.
I don't no. Anna, I don't think the world is ready for this.
Sorry.
The poor Bathers fans, they'd be like, oh no, no. Put it away.
Okay, well, the next question I want to ask is: have you ever had any sort of like accidents, or when all those years that you've been playing drums, have
Yeah,
you?
I did. I missed my stool, my drum stool. When there was a lot of dry ice kicking about,
Oh,
and it was very dark. And
yeah.
I went onto the stage, missed the stool, landed next to the stool, and then sort of had to sort of like crawl back up again, leaning on my drum kit, and got myself back up. But there was so much like dry ice. I'm not sure anyone really. I think I got away with it. I, maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'm thinking I got away with it because the band would have like teased me mercilessly forever if they'd noticed. But yeah, I think it was Stirling. Was it Stirling Castle? That's ringing a bell. And there was another gig I did up at in the Lemon Tree in Aberdeen, and I just got this smashing huge big snare drum. It was a monster. It must have been about 12-inch deep, and I was so proud of this thing. It had a beautiful sort of like wooden shell, and it was like the most glorious drum I'd ever seen. And then when I started playing the gig, it just sounded like a tom tom. It didn't sound like a snare drum at all. So I really, really, it just totally threw me because my whole
Yeah,
playing, everything, I just wasn't hearing what I was used to hearing. So
yeah.
basically took the took the drum off stage, never played it again. It gathered dust for about 12 years, and then eventually I gave it to Jim McDermott.
Oh,
You do something with this. It's been a blight on my life since I bought it. There is no need for a 12-inch snare drum in the bathers. There's just no need. So that was a bit of a disaster too. There's probably more, but I can't remember. Can't remember. Yeah, there will be more. I will let you know when I see you next week. They'll come back to me.
you mentioned Roger Taylor before. Apart from him, do you have any other drumming heroes?
Mm. Oh, too many. Yeah, Ainsley Dunbar is a definite one. He
Oh,
is amazing. Apparently, he's a jazzer. I only know him in the sort of like the Lou Reed. Um, and I'd have to say Karen Carpenter.
oh
He's
yeah,
an
yeah,
astounding drummer, and what a,
yeah.
what a singer. I mean, really.
And what a voice as well. What a voice. It was just amazing. So
But,
like, yeah,
but but I think everyone's so sort of like blown away by the voice, we forget
that,
just how
that
superb
she's
she was on
yeah,
on the drum kit. So they
yeah,
they would probably be my three faves.
favorite. Yeah, yeah. Um, you mentioned so like because I've also found out from doing as the drummer that there is a big difference between a rock pop drummer and a jazz drummer.
Yes, I am definitely not a jazzer. That- yeah, I'm definitely more of an indie kid than I am a jazzer. Yes, I've got to know like basic stuff for school. But I think jazz as well. It's one of the things you've got to be like really heavily into it. I think as well. You've got to be really, you listen to it. I mean, I love Miles
Yeah,
Davis. I love quite a lot of jazz, but it's not something that I'm pulled into play very often. I think you have to love it.
yeah. And is that something that the jazz drum techniques are the more difficult than the
I, I think I,
rock?
I think
Or
it's just a very different style. So
okay, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, again, there'll be things that are, whatever style of drums you're doing, there are things that you have to be able to do. You need to have like exceptional coordination and a
mm,
sense of timing. All of these things are really important, and don't rush. Blah blah blah. Keep a constant sort of tempo. But I think in jazz, there's how can I describe this? I think it's just that the basic jazz techniques and the sort of the independence and everything is just
yeah.
it's difficult. It is difficult, and I
And the
do
drum,
practice. I do practice it because I have to. I have to know the basics. I have to be a bit of a jack of all trades in my job. But it's not something that I would say. I'll do that jazz gig, please pick me.
and drummers, are you like being a drummer? You're able to tell that someone has so like this jazz technique, or so you can tell you. Because for me, like just a fan, I just enjoy every single drummer, everything that they
Yeah.
do. So like, but for a drummer yourself, you will you can you tell that this is like a jazz
A jazz
style,
drum.
or this is like
Well, depends what if they're playing jazz and they're playing it really well, then yeah. But if they're if they play jazz and they're doing a rock gig,
a
would I
rock? Yeah.
know? Maybe not. I
Oh,
am. I don't know. Maybe. Um,
yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, the thing is as well, like Edinburgh is quite a small place. If you turn up to a gig and you see someone on the drum kit, you've probably seen them do like other gigs.
Oh,
So you go, oh, actually, you're a jazzer, aren't you? So yeah, but I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to like the next time I'm out, I will study that a bit more.
well, being a music teacher, what would be your best advice to aspiring musicians or aspiring
Practice,
drummers?
practice, 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 practice. If you're not absolutely addicted to your instrument, if you're not playing it all day, every day, have to be dragged kicking and screaming off it, then music's probably not for you. I have a lot of pupils who do, they come up to me and they go, I quite fancy going to music college. And I'm like, have you played your instrument this week? No. Maybe start with that, and then you have to have that absolute like draw and pull to it to do it,
Yeah.
because to starting out in music. I mean, I've never had a fully playing career. I've always had my teaching, because it's very hard to make a decent living out of it. You know, um,
Oh,
yeah,
is
I've
it just
all,
now? Is it just nowadays, or even in the past? Because in the past, it
oh
seemed
yeah,
like
even in the past. I mean, there was no way that I would have been able to not have a job and just gig, because there wasn't enough gigs. And I mean, maybe if you going into like covers or doing sort of wedding bands and stuff like that, you can make a reasonable wage out of it.
yeah,
But as far as like original music,
yeah,
you have
yeah,
to be really quite lucky to get into a position where you've got enough coming in from touring to an album sales to live, you
yeah,
know. But it's not a sad thing. I mean, it's something that, I mean, I'd still enjoy my teaching career. I
yeah,
do enjoy, and I enjoy like working with youth bands and things like that, and
yeah.
getting young people playing. And the
And
thing
it's
about music is you don't have to be a musician to enjoy playing. I mean, there's
yeah,
such an awful lot of like friendships made, and like communities made with bands, and it's a lovely thing. It's a communication, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And no, it's good that it's still music. I mean, even when you're not playing in
Yeah.
the
Oh
band,
yeah. Hmm.
it's like you're teaching it. You're teaching
Oh
some.
God, yeah. And believe me, I use more creativity in education than I ever need just playing with bands. I mean, you have to pull ideas from everywhere when you're working with young people to get
Yeah.
them the results that they need.
Well,
You have to be very
yeah.
creative.
Well, I'm really looking forward to next Sunday in Glasgow. That's do you want to just like invite whoever? Maybe there's some people
Oh
thinking
yeah.
like on the
Yeah, yes, we're playing the Webster's Theatre on Sunday 28th. That's in the West End of Glasgow, Great Western Road. Um, we will be on with Sister John and Cowboy Mouth.
yeah.
And the exciting thing for me is that Douglas Hanna is providing his superb drum kit for that evening. So I get to play the finest drum kit I have ever played in my life. It's a
Oh my
cracker, and
god.
he's going to set it up so beautifully, and he tunes it impeccably, and it's so easy to play. I mean, you strike, and the rebound from it just makes the whole thing so easy. He's brilliant. So
Yeah. He
superb
is
kit.
he is amazing. I mean, talking about Douglas Hanna, I'm gonna have him on as a drummer as well.
Oh,
But I
you
saw
have to.
him.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I saw him. So like, I saw Kobe Mouth opening for the Bluebells in February, I
Yeah,
think it was.
yeah.
Yeah, and he did that solo. There's a drum solo at the end that I recorded. It was just absolutely amazing, and I thought
Oh,
I gotta sort of like have him on the
he's so
show as well.
cute. Oh, you know what? He's a fantastic drummer, but you know what? He's a blooming nice guy as well. He's
He is very,
such a lovely human being, and so
yeah.
generous. You know, he's fab. He's fab. In fact,
And
we've got this gig with the Cowboy Mouth on Sunday, and I think that's the last one we've got in the diary. I'm devastated.
oh,
I want another gig with them.
well, maybe October when you're doing so
Maybe.
like the
Oh
album,
yeah.
so maybe, yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'll suggest that.
Yeah. Well, are we? Can we expect some glitter, or
Some
or
glitter.
or just all
Some
like
glitter.
a sequin? Like a bit of that this Sunday. Are we going to sort of like do a bit of seeing a bit of a Eurovision themed?
Eurovision. Oh no, that ship has sailed. If we weren't going to do that on Eurovision, then I don't think the West End of Glasgow are ready for this either. I don't think it's going to happen now. You
No.
know what? Though? I'll have a look in my wardrobe. If I can find anything sparkly and electric blue, I'll put it on.
Well, thank you so much, Hazel. I mean,
Oh, thank
I really
you.
enjoyed. I mean, I do laugh quite a lot when I do interviews, but today it was just so like got tears in my
Oh, you've got to have a good time, haven't you? What's the point otherwise?
That's, well, thank you so much, and
And I will see you next
we'll
Sunday,
see.
and
Yeah, see you
I will
next
bring a
Sunday.
CD. I'll
Oh,
bring a CD
brilliant! And
just
make
for
sure that
you.
you have it on
I,
sale on the merch table as well, so that people can get the like copies. I'm sure because some people wouldn't
it's a
mind.
bit bonkers to be fair.
And thank you so much. I enjoyed the
No,
rest of your
thank
weekend.
you.
So
You
see
too,
you
Anna.
next week. Yeah, see you. Thank
See you
you.
later. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye. Oh my god, that was so good. I've never laughed this hard in any of the interviews. So I'm really, really grateful to Hazel Morrison. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to sort of like see them again next Sunday in Glasgow. And if anyone is sort of like either in or around Glasgow, or even when you're not in Glasgow, or sort of like just go over there, 'cause it's such an amazing, amazing city. So hopefully see you, some of you there. At the Webster's Theatre is on the 4th. Oh, no, sorry. That's next on the 28th of May. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone who joined us live. And thank you to Derek Patience for his questions. Hopefully you're watching us live because I did send you the link and I hope you got it. And keep an eye out for next week's guest announcement post. We're gonna have another amazing sort of like drummer next week. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. As always, love music, love life, and love, love, love drummers. Hazel Morrison, absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. So I'll see you all again next week. Bye for now. Bye.